Pleased to introduce Dr. Bipin Kumar Gupta. He is a senior principal scientist and professor at Academy of Scientific and Innovation Research, National Physical Laboratory, also serving as the deputy head of the Photonic Materials Metrology Subdivision in Advanced Materials and Device Metrology. Dr. Gupta earned his BSc in Physics and MSc in Solid State Physics from Banaras Hindu University in 1996 and 1998 respectively. He completed his PhD under Professor O.N. Srivastava in 2004. With over 20 years of experience, Dr. Gupta specializes in experimental solid state and condensed matter physics, focusing on material science, particularly luminescent materials like bulk and nanophosphorus. His research interests include nanotechnology, biotechnology, and hydrogen energy, specifically its use in hydrogen-fueled vehicles. Currently, he's working on developing luminescent materials, including graphene quantum dots and new emerging materials for various applications. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Bipin Kumar Gupta to the stage. Over to Dr. Bipin.
So it's a very pleasure to me. I'm third or fourth time here, and I seen the progress of this college because when I came, very small room to give the first talk. Now the mini auditorium, and also I seen the main auditorium. It means showing the infrastructure is going to increase. It means progress is going on. So, but the real mean of the progress, if we can also do some science or like some breakthrough, so those things are also equally important. So I like to thanks to Kirti and the team because they just to contact me and I always get the chance to whenever talk to students and trying to motivate them. This is normally I am talking to nowadays to motivate the students. I hope before the lunch it's a good motivation lecture will be there. So if you talk about the motivation, then you have to do something because you cannot do anything and trying to motivate to others, it's very difficult. So obviously I will show you 3 core breakthrough from my lab. Like recently we developed the new election ink which is invisible by nature, and if suppose somebody is doing the double voting, then it can be caught by some special device. And if you know earlier the election ink was also developed by the NPL many years ago, and till date there is no replacement. So this is a second generation ink that we are testing with the CSIR headquarter on the 400 peoples. Second kind of the discovery there, like we developed the pigments for the currency, which I mentioned by the ma'am morning. The guest ma'am discussed about yes, we developed those kind of the pigment. I will discuss about that, and then we will discuss about little bit because many of the boy students, so they are running very high speed bikes. So we develop some new car headlights or two-wheelers headlights. They can penetrate more than 500 meters. So it can be avoid the accidents like if you many years ago in even the Punjab during the Dasahara there was accident by the train, and train came because of the penetration was low. So people just to strike it and it was happen. So if such kind of the headlight will be on the train or like the cars, it will be very useful. And lastly, I will discuss about the quantum devices. Very little I will discuss because within the time frame I have to discuss everything. So before first, my job is to how we can convey to you life is always challenging. If you accept the challenge, you can convert into goal and get the success. So that's why I chose the topic, the indigenous development for the strategic luminescent materials for societal application. Because many science we are doing for ourselves, but some science we should do for the society. So I will discuss those applications and how. So before I can discuss the talk, I always should dedicate all the talks to my supervisor. So I learned 4 things which is very important for the students. I learned from him, he is like Iron Man of the science, but best example of the dedication, consistent, hard work with passion. So if 4 things you have, so you never will lose goal in your life. anything is missing like dedication or like consistency or hard work or doing everything but no passion, even though you will lose the target. So if you want to achieve the target, it is very important. And second thing, if you are very honest with the target, so between you and the target, no third should be there. So only you can achieve the things. So why I am saying to him, because he is a man of the like a book of the infinite chapters. Because whenever I interact to him, always getting the new ideas. So that's why many new ideas we are trying to do. And so when I started my journey, then I started from the lightest material like hydrogen. So now people are talking about this kind of the technology nowadays, but we developed the two-wheeler many years ago, and that time very less encouragement this kind of the technology. But you know very well, we started from the wood, and then the coal, then the petrol, then the CNG. Then we are talking about what is the mean of that? We are trying to reduce the carbon. So ultimately, you whole reduce the carbon, then only hydrogen will be there. So there is no alternative. So that's why people talking about the this kind of the energy. So I will not discuss this topic here, because I'm just to showing like how the life is started when you trying to make yourself as a student, as a PhD student, and how you can target the goals and how you can stand yourself by your selective choice for the field. So this is the our the tree. This also going to motivate us, because if you see here the tree, I mean the supervisor versus the students. So if you see here, they initially started with the like Thompson and the Bragg, and then the Air Burma. If you see the series, then Professor O.N. Srivastava, and if you see then my students in the below series, and two of them is like the Pawan and the Satvir from the Punjab and the Gurdaspur. So now he's well settled in the Canada and the New Zealand. So I mean saying like that, if you are doing the good work, then obviously you will get the good reward. And sometimes these things motivate us, so that's why it's very important we can discuss among the students. It's very important to how we motivate ourselves to do the good science, because if you see the tree, everybody is contributed. So now we have to thanks to our the group, because without this group we cannot do any more the success. So group is like a team, is like a wheel, and we are just like the only work engine when these wheels are running. So initially we started the PhD 5 boys students, now taking the experiment here also, taking the 5 girls students for the PhD. So and then again start the boys students, because already 5 boys completed, one of the girls already completed, now 4 girls are still working, and many of the intern and the other peoples are there. So why we need to be skilled? Because without skill nobody will ask you to come give the lecture, or like the industry will ask you to come for the talk or like the job. So morning somebody asked to me, some student, which kind of the topics that we should choose. So that's I told you, choose a topic. You don't go to industry, industry should come to you. So that is the way you can choose the yourself. I mean, if you see many of the around you, various things are very very important, but nobody is caring. Like I taken a topic like the currency pigments. When I see in India nobody work on this area, and when I see the impact, so India import from the foreign huge amount of the pigment for the security feature, and last 70 years. So I thought why not become this topic and started. So I mean those things are very very important for you guys. So that's why even our Prime Minister also saying skill is a building to better India. So if everybody is like to just like to job, I mean, or not thinking about the education, but also a pure skill. Because if you see our degrees, we have the MSc or PhD, when we are going to repair the mobile, 10 fail. It means something is failed in our applied system. Because if system is correct, then at least we have to not only to do every time like a user, but sometimes you have to think like that, how this kind of the technology works. At least we can understand the technology. But now we slowly and slowly moving the wrong direction and trying to make ourselves as a big user. So if you are a big user, then country has to make whole impact as a big user, because we are going to invest money other side, other country, and trying to import everything. So ultimately some time will come like nothing is from the India, everything from the import. Like when I spent 1 year in the US, so same scenario happened in the US. Only the US, the tea leaf is from the made in US. Everything is importing. So they are very worried about their country. So same situation can possible, because we are fortunate. Few of the areas we have very strong, like agriculture and many other things like leather or like medical sciences. So I mean, the impact will be only when education with the skill. So then the question is coming, who is the scientist? It is not like that the senior principal scientist or principal scientist, if somebody is tagged, then only scientist. My opinion, scientist can be anyone. They observe the wonders and they listen ideas to others and conduct the experiments and ask the questions. So don't, yourself make like the Bosani. It's a boson club. So boson is like non-interactive. So you try to make yourself as a fermion. So it can interacting kind of this, create yourself. And you ask them many questions. Whenever any speaker came, you try to, hard to they can stand on the stage. So that way you learn the science. And used to solve the societal problem and share your ideas and discovery to others. And ultimately you have to explore the world. Then you understand the discovery. Otherwise, what's happened, many of the Indian scenario, if you see universities or like institutes, they are doing the invention but never convert into innovation. Then the question is, what is the meaning of the invention and innovation? Invention means you develop something but there is no commercial use. So you try to develop something, if there is commercial use, it means the innovation. So those things are very important to understand for the students. And why need to talk to others? So this is a learning pyramid, and who going to innovate? This is the big question. Like a very intelligent person can do the innovation. It is not like that, because this scenario you can see, this is Bethel is a place from the US, and average mind people, they are trying to do some research. And they are trying to give the lecture to those students, these are average students. The lecture gain is 0%. When they are trying to reading, then 10%. When they are trying to do the audio visual, then 20%. When they are the demonstration, then 30%. When they are being discussed to others, then 50%. Then they are doing the practice, they are 75%. And ultimately, after doing everything, when doing the teaching others, then only the range of the 90%. So if you make yourself as a learning base, then you need to be, that's why our teachers are ideal, because they are in the base of the learning pyramid. So that's why we have learned from there. So those things very, very important. Like somebody is saying like in the morning session, if somebody will getting the Nobel Prize, I will be very happy. So only, those kind of a challenge is very good. We should energize ourselves to do the good science. But scenarios should also need to be support the system. Like if you see, this is the another research. If you want to do some discovery and want to convert into product, then there is a bridge required between the research and the product. If there is a no bridge or like no capital investment, you cannot convert into the goal, the product. So ultimately it will be like a death valley. Like you will listen some news many years ago, ultimately that will be never coming in the use. So if government want to discover something like, or then they have required few things. In my opinion, like one country, one program, and one infrastructure. If the ISC has the same facility as the facility of your college, then the real player can be chosen from the India. Because if they have the no facility, we are trying to make a big player, how it can possible? So it is very, very important to capital investment, which is the morning they said like 0.8% or 7%, but ultimately most of the even 50% money is going to ISC or IITs or TFR, and ultimately no product made in ISC, TFR or IIT. So better to, why not the one infrastructure in the country for the research or the teaching or all kind of the capabilities, and then we can decide who is going to real player. So I am just showing this slide just to motivate you. When I started my journey from the lightest material like the hydrogen, and now I am working as a scientist from the NPL, the lighting material. So life is always challenge. So don't think like that, those challenges need not to accept. You accept the challenge and do the 4 things what I shown in the slide and convert into goal. then you will be happy and will feel yourself you at least doing something by your research. So you can just do, and you try to dream. Don't always just to the dull person to sit in the seat. You try to dream. Like when I joined to PhD, that time a lot of big personalities came in our lab, like Sierna Rao, Addison, S.K. Joshi. That time I dreamed, or Chidambaram. So those people just when visited the lab, then I thought, why not someday I can make the lab and they can inaugurate our lab. So this dream happened after 15 years. So same S.K. Joshi came in my lab in the NPL and inaugurated our lab. So I mean, those kind of things are giving you energy to do the science. So I mean, if you will not do like those kind of things, so I mean, you cannot be. And similarly, like Chidambaram, when I was a PhD student, and ultimately, recently last year he came in my lab, and he visited our lab for the security pigment. And recently we developed the pigments for the currency, and we demonstrated to our Prime Minister advisor. I was the Minister of the Science and Technology last year in the Mandapam. And we also developed some pigments that can be NIR based. Means if you carry the money, you can track by the NIR system, like your TV remote phosphor. So I mean, those things are important too. But ultimately, these discovery how contribute to country, I will just to tell you next few slides. And recently we developed a ink. If you put on the finger, it will be invisible. When if you use this kind of a device, so it can show the color. So also in the news, you can just try it.
और अब खबरें विस्तार से। चुनाव में मतदान के बाद सभी मतदाताओं में एक आम चीज देखने को मिलती है, वो है उनके बाएं हाथ की उंगली में नीली शाही का निशान। दरअसल ये चुनावी शाही CSIR की दिल्ली स्थित प्रयोगशाला NPL द्वारा विकसित की गई थी, जिसका इस्तेमाल आज भी चुनाव में किया जाता है। लेकिन अब NPL ने एक और नई किस्म की चुनावी शाही विकसित की है, जो आंखों से दिखाई नहीं देगी। इसके क्या फायदे होंगे, जानने के लिए देखिए ज्ञान विज्ञान की एक खास रिपोर्ट।
और पर्टिकुलर किसी एक सोर्स से दिखे जिसे हम डिटेक्ट कर सके, तो
एजेंट जैसे कि साबुन, इथेनॉल, मिथेनॉल, एसीटोन या हॉट वाटर द्वारा मिटाई नहीं जा सकती। साथ ही स्याही को इस तरह से विकसित किया गया है कि ये त्वचा के लिए पूरी तरह से सुरक्षित है, यानी इसमें किसी भी हानिकारक रसायन का उपयोग नहीं किया गया है।
ये बेसिकली एक कोलॉइडल सॉल्यूशन है। कैलिब्रेट करेंगे कि ये सोर्स हमारा
बेहद कम लागत में विकसित खूब सराहना की है।
Student as well as a scientist of CSI, I never knew about this technology. This is just awesome that we have a mark which is there but which is not visible to anybody. So it will be safe for the skin as monitored by the meter.
उम्मीद है।
और अब खबरें विस्तार से। चुनाव में मतदान के बाद
So detail you can go to the science monitor and you can see the news. So I just to show the impact one of the discovery, how it can be useful for the societal application. So why I am talking about the luminescent materials. So you can see if everywhere like here waste energy in environment, nothing is left. These kind of the material utilized. Like in the case of the bio, like the hair. So people using for the bioimaging, so they are using the fluorescent dyes. If you see the currency or the passport, people use the security features. If you see in the LEDs, so yak cerium is the fluorescent material, so they excite with the blue light and they convert into the white light by emitting the yellow from the yak cerium and blue from the excitation source. So combination of the blue and yellow, you are getting the white light. So if you see your white back side, you are seeing the yellow pinch, that is the yak cerium. So everything we are going to import. So that's why we are thinking why not we can make ourselves. So I will not go to basic slides, what is the luminescence, but only the impact is for the students. If you are trying to develop anything, you have to ensure with the all kind of the materials in that class or series. So that's why we develop this luminescent pigment. We go to thoroughly to all kind of the classification of the luminescent materials, and we understand the Jablowski diagram, what kind of the phosphorus material, fluorescent materials, and how other material can also play the role, and how we can choose the material. So, I will not go to basic slides. So, like tubelite, one of the example people earlier using for the luminescent materials, and nobody know in the hall to what are the pigments, right? So, but you should know. If the technology you are using for the reading and from the childhood, and you don't know how the white light is coming for the fluorescence technique to you, that is very, very important. So here you can see like the red, green and the blue, the luminescent material they are using the excite with the, why the mercury is there, any student know, that is the excitation source, and mercury if you charge it with the high voltage, it produces the UV light. So UV light excites these materials and convert the red, green and the blue, and ultimately the combination produce the white light. So these things are very, very important, and trying to like the semiconductor, how produce the luminescent materials, the colors. So ultimately the previous speaker talked about that regarding the nanomaterials, how going to impact. So if you see here this formula, so like the quantum dot, so if R will be very less, then this kind of the impact will be very high. So if suppose nanomaterials, then the atomic radii will be less, so the impact will be high. So that's why we are getting the large band gap and reducing the size. When you are trying to like the bulk, then R will be very high, so impact will be very low. So if you see this Victor Kilmer model, so ultimately this is the big difference between the bulk and the nano. And another thing is like discrete energy levels appears. So the previous speaker talked about the confinement. So how you will judge the confinement? So simply you do the UV vis. If you are seeing the several clings because of the absorption in different states, then it means the particle is in confined state. If suppose like the bulk with the continuous absorption band, it means it's an unconfinement state. So these are the things are very, very important for the when you start the background for the research. Similarly, like the carbon material also producing the light emitting. So all kind of the like MOFs. So ultimately we compared for the develop the pigment. So compared all kind of the like plasmonic materials. So and this review we already discussed about the how we develop the pigment. So I will just to go directly to that part, because we have a lot of slides related to the how do you calibrate the system, how you can do the accuracy, and how difference between the Raman and the PL. So I will just to go that part, because I will try to show the impact of the work. So because calibration is also the one part of the NPL, because the National Meteorological Lab, so all equipment came for the. So the impact part of the work is to why need to this kind of the pigment to discuss. So you can go this video and you can understand why we need to, this kind of the pigment to discuss.
और इंक भी इंडियन होती है, ऐसा नहीं कर सकते। जिस गांधी ने स्वदेशी के लिए इतनी लड़ाई लड़ी, वो विदेशी कागज तो उसकी तस्वीर छपती रहे, क्या शोभा देता है? क्या मेरे देश के पास ऐसे उद्योगकार नहीं है क्या? उनको कंपल किया जाए कि तुम्हें ये फैक्ट्री लगानी है, पैसा चाहिए दूंगा, लेकिन ये लगाओ बादल में, लाओ दुनिया से टेक्नोलॉजी लाओ, और हमारी करेंसी, हमारी नोट कागज हिंदुस्तानी होना चाहिए, इंक भी हिंदुस्तानी होनी चाहिए। और मैं चाहता हूं कि आरबीआई इस बात को एक जिम्मेवारी समझ करके एक नेतृत्व दे। ये बदलाव के ये मेक इन इंडिया तो यहीं से शुरू होता है जी।
So after this motivation, we developed the pigment, and ultimately many pigments we developed last few years, and few of them also we done the patent granted from the US patent and Indian patent, and ultimately in the Rajya Sabha also they announced so this kind of the pigment can be used soon, and there will be no going to.
सुरक्षा के तमाम उपाय करने के बावजूद नकली नोटों पर पूरी तरह से लगाम नहीं लगी है, लेकिन अब नेशनल फिजिकल लैबोरेटरी यानी कि एनपीएल एक ऐसी स्याही तैयार कर रहा है जो नकली नोट के धंधेबाज को पूरी तरह.
So I will because lot of videos, so I just to given the impact of the work.
Soon, the people of India will not have to worry about the fake notes or documents as Indian science.
So recently we getting the US patent, one of the pigment. ultimately, again the cover by the media.
And now the news in detail. A few years back, scientists at the New Delhi-based CSIR National Physical Laboratory successfully developed a first-of-its-kind printable bioluminescent pigment for security ink formulation. This landmark indigenous invention, along with the process to develop it, has now been granted a US patent. This development is a big push for Make in India, as the Indian invention has been recognized abroad for its ingenuity. Let us see a report to get more details.
So these news you can go to Science Monitor and you can be able to see. So what kind of the features we basically develop in the NPL? So basically two kind of the features we develop. One is the fluorescent features on the number panel. Another is the if you see the optical variable ink, when you twist the note 0 degree to 45 degree, it changes the color. So green to blue. Only you see these kind of the feature, but never understand from where it is coming and how much is the cost. So cost of this kind of the optical variable ink is, can you guess, 1,60,000 rupees per kg. And how much note is going to printed every year? If you account, it will be very high. That's why if you see this kind of the optical variable ink only available for the 100 rupees note, 500 rupees note, 200 rupees note, but never be in case of the 50 or 10 rupees, because if it will going to as a feature, then note impact value will be less. Printing cost will be high. So that's why this kind of the feature. But what is the advantage? If you do the copy or anything, you cannot able to do. So that's why it's a very, very important. And this feature is very physics-based problem. Multi-layer system you have to generate, and that can create this kind of the optical variability. Like particular angle is going to change the wavelength, and ultimately you see by your eye to different color. And the challenge was to convert into one color to other color. Mixed color not feasibility for this kind of the optical variable ink. And second is like the fluorescent features. So that feature basically we developed for the, its cost is $700 per kg. And you understand that from the independence before, even same source we are importing. So whole Asia can import these kind of the features other places, and these features for the common people. So ultimately, even many of them don't know about the feature, how can detect. So ultimately they got for the fake currency. And the case of the fake currency is very, very, the dangerous. So people should at least understand what are the features for the common people. So what NPL developed, first I will show you. So if you see here, NPL developed a pigment. If you are putting a frequency, it will show one color. If you change the frequency, it will change the color. So normally students come in the lab, we also demonstrated in the open day and like lab visit also. So basically if you see here, if you print it, you can possible to print like the transparent, but you excite it and changing the color with the frequency. But what the earlier, the no even Indian, including the foreign any currency like the dollar, dirham or like other currency notes, nobody has such kind of the dual feature. So this is the one discovery we had developed there, and it's a rigorous study. It's not like that to make the pigment and people start to use. See, if you have somebody has the printing machine, you need to be, every parameter should be satisfied. So that's why we taken the project from the BNP Devas, so they're printing the currency notes. So ultimately, if you make the button, nobody make the shirt. So you have to make the button, it fit in the shirt. So that technology, that kind of technology need to be developed. So ultimately we developed, and all parameters once satisfied, then we even taken the project from the people, they actually supply to India the pigments. And we are trying to say don't import from the abroad. So we are now capable to do these kind of the pigments. So ultimately for the one few pigments, we taken a project more than 5 crores. So you can understand if you have 1,000 pigments, how much you can earn from the technology. So government also done the MOU with us. So another impact for the color shift. So if you change the angle, it will change the color, what I told. So this project moving in India many places, and they think like this is the chemistry problem, but this is a basically physics-based problem. And if every period, if you know, then you understand if change the refract index, how we can change the wavelength. So we develop this kind of the multi-layer, can be demonstrated for the project. And ultimately, if you see your passport, there is security feature like the this kind of this circle. If you excite with the 365 note, or like the passport, so this kind of the feature going to appear. But what we have developed, we developed the golden ink, so it appear like the normal light, the golden. When you excite the frequency, it will showing the different colors at different frequency. So hard to counterfeit because it's very difficult to create any feature if it's appearing the golden in nature. So I mean, like the certificates, we also developed CI code, because if you see the QR codes are black and white, so easy to count, make the copy or make the counterfeit. But if CI based, like color emission based, it's very difficult. So we developed many technologies, and also we recently developed NIR based. Like if you are in your house, you are using the TV remote, the long distance you can activate. Similarly, you can activate NIR based pigments from the long distance. NIR cannot be seen by naked eye. If suppose people can carry the money, they can easily caught. So I mean, many technologies can possible, and similarly like the papers also we develop the pigments. So it's a huge work, and Nature India always appreciate our work. And recently I told about we also developed the election ink, and you can see the naked eye hard to see by the eye, but if you see the device, you can able to do. And not only we are doing this kind of the technology based research, but also we are doing the very good research for the publication point of view also. So we shown the impact our group has. So recently we published a paper from the small, purely from the India. So I mean the impact factor more than 15. So I mean this kind of the impact required the hard work. So that's why I said the 4 elements, the initial in my slide. So all kind of the pigments we are trying to develop ultimate the. So I will not go to one each of the pigment because it's required 1 hour itself. I will just go to technology and emphasis to among you. Like one of the technology we developed, like if you switch on, then the red color, if switch off, then green color. So we using the technology for the phosphorus fluorescent together, and ultimately we develop this kind of pigment. And I will show you the video. I mean, you can see yourself by the naked eye. And this technology considered one of the top 11 technology from the India. So this technology in this year was the rank 1. And you can see by the yourself. As you've seen, this is the sample inside the sample holder in normal light. Body color is coming in normal light, so you can see in the close view also it's a white. So once we can switch on the UV and switch off the normal light, then you can see its color is red. So you can see is red in UV light. So now can you switch off the UV light please?
Yes.
So now you can see. So it's like magic. So I mean the indigenous has another advantage too. You can change the features without any copyright infringement. So I mean, so we develop for the brand checks also this kind of the pigment. So ultimately for this technology I can say like that. So this is the best example for the how basic research can convert into the technology, and that technology can serve the country. So many other applications. This is the good publication recently we last year published in small, and also covered by the Nature India, also this news. So I will just go to another technology very quickly because hard to I can say, and see the ink when we tested around 400 people, they said like why not in this election. So they are so much excited to use. So another project we taken during the COVID to the testing kit using the phosphorus material. So this is the simple way to you can use the mobile and you can test your COVID positive or COVID negative. So we make a phosphorus molecule and we trying to conjugate one side for the it can track the COVID virus, another side track for the channel for the fluorescent molecule, and we also make it to magnetic. So once you tag with those kind of the viruses, you can separate out after the washing the untagged the taggants. So ultimately you can use that kind of reader and easy to check by the normal mobile. So this project we taken from the DVT, and we've done many more projects for the bioimaging few years back. So I will just to go another very impactful technology which we developed recently, and you can see students come in our lab for the summer time, and they are very happy to they develop technology, and they think like that at least some skill they have developed for the technology which they are using in daily life. So I will just to show you another technology which is very important for the laser light. Started this project, the film industry came. Sonipat is very near, I think, from the in between the Delhi and the Chandigarh. So they making the car headlights, and they came to us and they said the BMW and GE Motors, they are working for the car headlights. Can we do something like some material that can laser sustainable and convert into white light? So we developed, and they purchased material from the China, like the 70,000 50 gram. So they given a project of the 6 lakh to us, and we given them to 5 kg material. Then they asked why not we can make the headlights. So we also trying to headlights and compare with the headlights to like the LED based or xenon based. So ultimately we get the success, and we demonstrated recently in the near the Jaipur. Gobas is a place for the Hero Innovation Center. Hero groups, so we demonstrated there, and we shown the efficiency of the car headlights, and also covered by the news. And recently, the Yamaha also ready for given the project for the car headlights. So another kind of the last application I will just to discuss because I understand the time is about to. So two technology for the quantum devices. Like morning I listened for the speaker. So they talk about the nanomaterials. Try to understand the difference between the nanomaterials and the quantum materials. So nanomaterials means you are talking about the material in the range of the 1 to 100 nanometer. But if only we will say the nano when the 4 parameters is going to distinct from the bulk. What are the 4 parameters? The gravitational mass will be very less, so electromagnetic force will going to dominate. Surface by volume ratio will be very high. Random molecular motion. Right? And another, the fourth one, anyone the idea? So, I mean, when you are reading the books, then you are trying to understand the distinction. So, large band gap, these kind of the materials compared to the bulk. So, I mean, if you know feel the materials, and you can explain through the quantum model instead of the classical model. So, these 4 parameters very important. So, you distinct, but when you are talking about the quantum materials, means you are not talking about the interband, you are talking about the intraband, like we are talking about the discrete energy levels. So can you able to play with the discrete energy levels and do the some applications? Yes, it is possible, like the 6G spectrum we are thinking about that, where we have required very small penetration of the wavelength, means we require very high frequency. So how it can be created? You try to do the some terahertz kind of the laser and try to excite the material. So what will be happen? The optical band gap will not going to excite, only we excite the lower band, the transition of the intraband. So you can able to use for the terahertz application or 6G applications. So I mean those things are what is the coming in the market. It's better to catch or start the research. Then your research has the value. And if you are doing the research after 20 or 30 years, there is no impact for the society or like the country or for any cause. So we developed here some single layer graphene, and many years ago the Rajya Sabha came and they also cover our lab. Anyway, I can just go to next because so like previous speaker they shown, so this is the impact difference between the bulk and nano, already I told. And some people ask like that, so you can understand why the it's going to phase change. So if you see one cell, it means 30, if you 30 number of atoms created, means if you convert the surface coverage, so if single cell, it means all the atoms on the surface. So then the 92% the surface atoms. So if you convert the bulk to nano, it means surface atom you are going to increase. So ultimately that's why those parameters is going to change, melting point or elevation or like boiling point or like the scattering. So I mean those applications of why happen, this is the theory behind that. So if you increase the number of cells, the surface atom is going to decrease. So if more and more, then volume going to appear. So ultimately that's why the reactivity is faster in case of the nano, but not in the bulk. So I mean this is the best example for the iron oxide. In the bulk it's like the ferromagnetic, but with the super parametric in case of the nano. And I will give the best example everybody is doing in this. Now Diwali is coming to near. So how we can realize the surface by volume ratio? So people using the Asbury carbon and trying to fire it, right? So what's happened? The mass convert into surface. So basically volume convert into surface. So nothing but it's like carbon nano dots is going to create. So everybody, I mean, sometimes in their life they are making the nanomaterials, even knowingly or unknowingly, but they are using the Asbury carbon, and I mean this is the one of the example. So I will not go to in detail because already I mean speaker discussed about that. So only the part which is left from him that I will trying to discuss, like the machining effect, like what they are saying, the top down or bottom up. So why we need to sometimes top down or bottom up, because the less expensive process for the case of the bottom up, but the top down is a very expensive process to develop the nanostructures. So that's why specific regions where the chipping, then we need to the top down. Otherwise, most of the cases we are using the bottom up if large scale synthesis is required. So I will not go to these things. I will just do very motivating one part I will trying to discuss. Like the 2D materials, your morning you listen. So 2D materials actually people tried many years ago, like 1937. But because of the concept of the crystal, because all three planes are required and three axes are required, so that time there is no concept of the confinement. So people never realized it is possible to some 2D crystal can be adjust. And that's why it is a surprise when people discover earlier 1990 the carbon nanotube, then they realize the 1D material but confined in 2 dimension. Then they think like that, why not we can develop some material confined in 3 dimension. So ultimately why they going to 1D material to 0D, the reason behind that, because it's a like tubular structure. So it's very difficult to make the flat devices. So that's why they discover the quantum dots. So quantum dot confined in the 3 directions, but that time the major issue was the stability. That's why the last year getting the Nobel Prize, because they make the stable quantum dots and they make the display. So that then people trying continuously for the 2D materials. And you will be surprised, that's why I am trying to this slide to show you. Two persons, case number so and the Andre Chain. So guide and the students, they discover this material, and earlier they are working on the geckos. So you try to understand, nobody think like that a person working on different areas, they can discover a 2D materials and getting the Nobel Prize. So they trying to understand how the geckos stick with the walls. And you will be surprised because the outer layer of the geckos is also atomic thin layer. And because of the inter-atomic force is very high, that's why they stick with the walls. And they're trying to make those kind of the artificial polymer and trying to make the fiber like exactly as the geckos. And they're trying to stick with the Spider-Man hand and trying to stick with the glass. So ultimately they able to 140 gram Spider-Man can be stick if you change the inter-atomic force between the wall and the surface. So ultimately they're trying to start the discovery. So they done the muscovite, biotite, and ultimately they go on the graphite and getting the Nobel Prize. So that's why students has a very need to make the courage to the patience for the research, because sometimes if you are dedicated, even 6 years you can get the Nobel Prize. What is the best example of the case number research? So we developed many 2D materials in the lab. So I will go very fast because it will take the 1 week for the lecture. So I will not go to all. I will just do that part is very important, so that I will show you. And life is always challenge. When we started the 2D materials, we have the very limited the funding, and we started the single layer graphene, and we developed the setup ourselves, and we went to TFR for the making the quantum Hall resistance devices. So ultimately we make the device, and if you see here, because if you have the enthu or energy, you will not stop for the research. So we have not the facility for the quantum Hall resistance, we went to TFR Mumbai. So ultimately we make the device, and we show the QHR. So you can see here, because these facilities are in TFR Mumbai. So that's why I talking about that. If country has the one infrastructure everywhere, then real player will be able to see from the India. But because of the few places only these kind of facility, it's very difficult for the to manage for the science, because nowadays time has gone, which earlier speaker morning said, the CV Raman has the no funding and very small amount of the what is giving the money. And it's a fact, because only 260 rupee device getting the Nobel Prize, you will be surprised. That time that is the 260 rupees that device, because they don't mention the money, I can mention the money. But nowadays time has gone. Nobody talk about the macromolecules or like the bulk. Now people talking the micromolecules, atomic level. So how without infrastructure you can do the real science? So it's a very big challenge. So it's very important for the infrastructure. So ultimately we went there and we made the device. So now we develop many of the 2D materials in the lab. So because the students just like to, you can see the glimpse for the materials. So like even nowadays people talking about the twisted bilayers, which we developed recently. And first time we shown for the, if you change the temperature, it will change the twist angle. And this work was highly appreciated, and also one science paper they done the tri-layer, and also they cited our work. So recently also we done for the some gas sensing. We thought to their previous speaker also discuss about the 2D materials, but we also done the same areas for the, and also covered by the science monitor. So I will not go to news, you can go to science monitor and Google us, so a lot of our real activity will be there. And we also, most of the things we develop ourselves in the lab. We don't depend upon the company. So, and what is the advantage? If you see here the quality of the material, we have never done the any kind of compromise. We also done the all kind of the calibration for the furnace, and you can see the quality for the nature paper and our work. So that's why morning I asked the delta K. So if you really know the monolayer, you will not talk about the 5 layers for the confinement, because there is no sense of those kind of the material can be called as a quantum materials. Because if you want to intervene process, even the bilayer can be do the electronics. Like the conduction band interaction, or like the valence band interaction. But in case of the monolayer, it can be possible to those kind of the quantum applications. So like and always we are doing the mechanical exfoliation, then we are trying to CVD. So we can understand the validation of the material. So you can see here, I can just very quickly finish. Like different kind of shape can possible. So understanding is also important to how you can make these kind of the materials. And recently we also make the heterostructures, like one is A, another is B kind of the layer. And we also use for the terahertz application, which already I discussed about that. So what the mean of the 6G you can understand by this slide. So while we are talking about the 2D materials and terahertz applications, so we shown in case of the graphene and the MS2, why it is important, because when we shown these materials show the response in this range of the terahertz. So And ultimately, because this is little beyond the for the students level for the BSc MSc, I will just do very important last slide to place for the students. Before that, I will show one more application for the nanomaterials can be used for the sensing applications. So we recently taken a project from the DBT. So for the Parkinson patients, so because in India a lot of the high gauge factors strain sensors are available, but low gauge sensors are very rarely available. So we make using of the CNT and this kind of the device. I will just to show you how it's going to change, and you can see the in situ change in mechanical force can change the resistance, and in situ electrical signal can be recorded. Like in our finger, we are putting the so this work is also further extended for the like CNT paper also we make. Recently we also make this sponge-like structure and also covered by the science monitor again. So I will not go to news. And ultimately again when we started the research for the hydrogen, now people again searching to me for the this area, and they asked the many committees for the recently, and they also recognized and rewarded me for the area when I done the PhD for the hydrogen. So I mean for student my say to convey the message, and that is very important message I want to say, because also I taken the project from the Indo-Japan for the hydrogen again started. So and these are the visitors in my lab, and get the chance for the good ground to meet. So I will just do the good science, then we will reward also. So this is the message for the students because it's a very important. So I will read. Set the example by your own efforts. Don't talk always the example of others. So set the goal of your life. Don't redefine the goal always after seeing others. Achieve the goal and success which can inspire to others. Don't get the success only for you. So do the contributions for your own country. Don't talk always the contribution of other country. Not only we are doing. So make good culture of working country. Don't talk always the culture of other country. How it can happen? Another my vision I will just do, and this is last this slide. Make yourself as an iron. No one can destroy you. Even people will understand you and listen sound of your hard work, which make you iron. Otherwise, what's happened? If you make yourself as a cotton, so everybody will praise you and enjoy the moment and will make your life hell. So make yourself as an iron, not as a cotton. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an interesting talk. Being a non-material scientist, even I couldn't take my eyes off because the applications were so interesting. So I'm sure students must be bubbling up with some questions. If there are any questions, kindly raise your hands.
They belong to Bosan Club, so non-interacting system. So you change the club name Fermions. When next time I will come the.
Any questions, please?
Yeah, some student. Yeah, please go ahead. Or you can come here and then.
सर जैसे आपने कहा कि वो इंक आपने जो ट्रांसपेरेंट इंक है वो हम इलेक्शंस के लिए यूज़ कर रहे हैं या कोई और भी उसके एडवांटेजेस हैं?
जो अभी हमने सेकेंड जनरेशन इंक डेवलप किया जो आपको मैंने दिखाया उसमें क्या है कि हमने अभी टेस्ट किया था. ये टेस्ट क्या होता है कि डेवलप करने के बाद बायो टेस्ट करने के बाद बायोटॉक्सिसिटी और एवरीथिंग देन यू कैन टेस्ट ऑन स्किन ऑफ द अदर पर्सन. सो दिस इज द CSIR हेडक्वार्टर सोसाइटी इलेक्शन. And DG asked to us, why not you can make the election with your new ink? So we went there and 400 people participated in that society election, and we conduct the election.
Very expensive है वो?
Very less expensive because most of the protein linker is there. So and it's a good for the health also because protein is in our skin. So
सर जैसे हम वो आइस के साथ तो हम नहीं देख सकते नेकेड आइस, सो लाइक जब वो इलेक्शंस में यूज़ कर रहे हो, सो मतलब लाइक व्हाट श्योरिटी की वो लगी रही है या कोई मशीन के साथ लगेगी या मैनुअली हमें?
जो डिवाइस के साथ ही जब लगाएंगे तो इवन देखने से पहले भी, अगर आपने देखा होगा वीडियो, तो हमने डिवाइस से चेक करते हैं कि कहीं ऐसे तरह लगा के तो नहीं आया, तो वो डिवाइस तो सबके पास होगा नहीं, और जब तक डिवाइस की वेवलेंथ नहीं बताई जा सके तो कोई इसको कॉपी भी नहीं कर सकता, क्योंकि केवल इंक भी कॉपी करने से काम नहीं चलेगा, डिवाइस भी होनी चाहिए। उन्होंने दोनों WPC लेके आए और वो गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल्स के पास होगा और ब्रेक करते डिवाइस काम करना बंद कर देगी। जैसे कि लोग इंपोर्ट करते थे नोट्स के थ्रेड्स को चेक करने के लिए, सेम पैरामीटर्स पे।
ओके, थैंक यू सर।
तो जो आइडिया वो है कि जैसे आपको लगा दिया गया तो आपको दिखे ना, ताकि आप उससे टेम्परिंग ना कर सकें। अब क्योंकि वो 70 ईयर से इंक यूज़ हो रहा है तो उसको देखा जा सकता है, टेम्परिंग करने की कोशिश की जा सकती है। इसीलिए आपने देखा होगा बहुत सारे ब्लीचर रखे गए थे ऑडियंस के लिए कि आप अपना लगा के मिटा के दिखाओ। सो दैट इज़ द टेस्ट फॉर द HIS 1.
Any more questions? So if there are no more questions, let's thank the speaker for such an interesting talk. I would now request Dr. Neelu and Dr. Priti to kindly extend a token of thanks to our speaker. Thank you so much, sir.